Hey guys, what's up? It's Aurelius here, and today we're going to be taking a look at another PragerU video. So we're going to be taking a look at this one. 2.9 million views. By far the most viewed video that we've looked at so far. 7 years ago. The least free place in America. All right, let's see.
How important is free speech on a college campus? Here's what the Supreme Court said in 1957
Why is it sped up? So why was there that for a second? That was weird. Anyway, whatever.
in the landmark case Sweezy v. New Hampshire. Teachers and students must always remain free to inquire, otherwise our civilization will stagnate and die. Inspiring words and true, which is why what's happening in American colleges and universities is so disturbing. A
Yeah,
study
bro.
conducted by the Association of American Colleges and Universities in 2010 revealed that only 30% of college seniors strongly agreed with the question, is it safe to hold unpopular positions on this campus?
What a meaningless survey question. What does that mean? The what what I mean, what is meant by unpopular position? Is the unpopular position someone who's pro legalizing murder? Like what do you mean by that? You know,
Or
and what does safe mean? Does safe mean that you're never going to get challenged on it? Does safe mean that everyone's going to treat you like totally, completely respectfully, in every context all the time? Like what? Or does safe mean like safe from physical violence? What does that mean?
worse, the study found that students' confidence that they can hold unpopular opinions declines from freshman to senior year. How can it
By how much?
be that at a place where speech should be the most free, the university,
Okay, actually, I'm kind of interested. Hold on, let's see. What was it? A study. Okay. Association of American Colleges and Universities. 30% of seniors on popular positions. 2010. Is this it? This is what came up. This is from 2010. Oh, 2010. Okay, it's something from 2010. So let's see. There'll be more compass. Okay. I think this kind of feels like the thing that we're looking for. Let's see. So, unpopular positions. Ah, to illustrate this point, the data in this report indicated that while roughly 3/5 of students in the sample of 24,000 strongly agree that they came to college having respect for diverse perspectives, approximately half felt as strongly that their understanding of difference expanded well in college. Also, less than one-third of students surveyed strongly agreed that their campus peers are respectful of one another when discussing controversial perspective, while just over one-third strongly agreed that it is safe for students to hold unpopular positions. Okay. Well, do we actually like? Okay, here. Um, Engaging different perspectives. Students usually have an increased capacity to learn about diverse perspectives at graduation and at the beginning of college. Well, I'm just really curious about the. Oh, here. A large percentage of students generally agree that it is safe to hold unpopular positions on campus, with 80.6% either strongly agreeing or agreeing somewhat with this item. Within this, however, only slightly more than one-third of students strongly agreed. So they take this strongly agree number and say it's the agree number. Okay. Among students, fewer seniors strongly agreed that it's safe compared to first-year students. Twice the number of students as campus officials strongly agree that it's safe to hold unpopular positions on campus. Okay. So it does generally go down the longer you're there, I guess. So I guess that kind of checks out, although they're exaggerating it. Uh, you know, okay, interesting. Anyway, also, who is this guy?
Here's what the Supreme Court said. How important is free speech?
Doesn't even say
In
who
words,
this guy is.
found
Okay.
that students' confidence that they can hold unpopular opinions declines from freshman to senior year. How can it be that at a place where speech should be the most free, the university, young people fear merely holding, to say nothing of actually expressing, unpopular opinions?
That's not at all substantiated by the data that you present, but okay. It says that a minority strongly agree with that sentiment. So
The
it
reason
also
is
doesn't define unpopular opinions.
that for decades now, students have been sent a clear message from their schools. Express dissenting opinions, violate political correctness, or even just criticize the administration at your peril.
What does violate political correctness mean? I'm really interested. Does that mean that I can't go around, if violate political correctness means that if I express a conservative opinion about economics or something like that, is that what it means? Or does it mean I can't go around like yelling racial slurs or something? It's very interesting when you see the way that they frame this, because like, what does that mean?
After working for 12 years at the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, I have seen hundreds of examples of students in
100
peril.
plus.
Here are just a few. At Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis, a student employee was found guilty of racial harassment for publicly reading a book that some of his fellow employees found offensive. The book was Notre Dame versus the Klan, and it was available in the school's library. It recounted and celebrated the defeat of the Ku Klux Klan when its members marched on Notre Dame in 1924. So what did the university find offensive? The photo on the book's cover. At the University of...
Okay, let's evaluate that. So, Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis, Notre Dame, the Klan. Let's see. This is from 2008. Okay. Student employee is found guilty of racial harassment for merely reading this book. Finding was eventually overturned. His school record was cleared. Janitor from university official had accused of racial harassment for reading a historical book. The Ku Klux Klan on his break has gotten an apology months later from the school. Okay. Last year when a coworker complained after seeing him read that book. See me, okay. Okay, so yeah, it sounds like sounds like this particular affirmative action committee, they they were pretty crazy on this in this particular case. So that one checks out, I guess. Although it doesn't really prove anything. But okay, interesting, fair enough. By the way, I don't mean to look at this to be like, that's completely unbelievable. It's just interesting to check out the claims. Okay. So anyway, let's see. Although it is worth noting that he wasn't even really like actually reprimanded in the end, and then eventually it was completely overturned. So, kind of a nothing burger actually, but whatever.
Delaware, students were forced to undergo ideological re-education as part of the university's compulsory student orientation program. The program was described as treatment for students with incorrect attitudes and beliefs. Students were taught to adopt
Oh,
highly
man.
specific,
Okay.
university-approved views on politics, race, sexuality, sociology, moral philosophy, and environmentalism. They were also required to attend one-on-one meetings with their resident assistants, where they were compelled to answer intrusive, probing, and utterly irrelevant personal questions such as, when did you discover your sexual identity? And
Okay. Interesting. Let's look into this. So, um, university. It's also interesting that for the previous one, they don't actually mention that it was overturned. They just mention that the thing took place. So I just found that interesting. Anyway, but Delaware, ideological indoctrination. Okay, here we go. Story from 2007. University of Delaware accused of indoctrinating students. Okay. Let's see. British such a program. What is the... Can I actually see... By fire, the University of Delaware dropped an ideological re-education program. It was referred to universities on materials treatment for students' incorrect attitudes and beliefs. Okay. But can I actually like see what is meant by this? Because yeah, you know, sounds pretty terrible if this is actually true. Today I learned, Reddit. Today I learned. Oh, it's from the... Okay. We're going for a lot of programs thinking about it's bullshit about 90% of the time. Okay. Can I actually see what it was? Rather than seeing like the take about it, I just... Come on. Oh, I don't want a National Review article. I just want like an actual description of what it was. Or maybe it'll link to something. Oh, right, indoctrination at the University of Delaware. Okay. Program materials for this ideological re-education, which have been removed from the UD website, included race, gender, class, sexual orientation trainer. Jack D. Butler's definition of a racist is all white people living in the United States, and their edict that people of color cannot be racist. An intrusive rating instrument, Discovery Wheel, which is used to promote students to admit to their putative racism, and were instructed that the U.S. is an oppressive society whose structures of oppression it is their duty to eliminate. The treatment was also mandatory and punitive. Students were required to attend training sessions, group floor meetings, and one-on-one meetings with their resident advisors, who had been coached in interrogating vulnerable freshmen, plied them with invasive questions. Okay. Well, you know, if that's all true, sounds pretty terrible. It's just kind of weird that I can't find an actual, like, direct thing about it. Trouble in the dorms. Okay, here we go. In the fall of 2007, one university conducted a program for all 7,000 students in its dormitories and sparked a national scandal. Okay. University of Delaware's mandatory residence achieved certain learning outcomes, centered on citizenship and sustainability. Alright. Delaware students living in the dorms, popular had to attend meetings. Okay. First time you were repressed. So one example is trend. Okay. Well, at least there was a little more detail. Residence life officials developed a curriculum. But, like, what were the implications if you, like... Yeah, are these programs really voluntary? Well, okay. I mean, it seems to mostly check out, so...
Re-education as part of the university's compulsory student orientation program. The program was described as treatment for students with incorrect attitudes and beliefs. Students were taught to adopt highly specific, university-approved views on politics, race.
Okay, wait, what is this?
When did you dismiss students off campus? Vanderbilt University, for example, has enacted a policy that forbids faith-based student groups from selecting members and leaders based on their faith. As a result, 14 Christian groups have been de-recognized by the university. Then there are speech codes.
Okay. Vanderbilt University, faith-based groups can't decide faith. Let's see. Administrators at the Vanderbilt University are beginning to enforce a long-held non-discrimination policy for student groups. Policy is forcing a dilemma for faith-based organizations that drop requirements that their leaders hold certain beliefs or forfeit school funding, move off campus. Okay. Oh, well, the little brother of NFL superstar Aaron Rodgers. Wow, crazy. I wonder if he's into ivermectin and all that too. Now it may be religious groups that are asked to leave, but this time in the name of non-discrimination. Well, okay. I mean, I guess it technically makes sense, although I don't get why you'd want to join a religious group that, you know, if you're not religious, I guess maybe to troll them. Just like, oh yeah, hey guys, yeah, okay. That, I mean, this is kind of weird more than anything. Yeah, okay.
At a majority of American colleges and universities.
Well, there are speech codes everywhere in our entire lives. They may not be legally codified, but culturally, socially, institutionally, yeah, there are speech codes all throughout our lives and always have been. So this is such a meaningless thing to say.
What is a speech code? It is a university regulation or policy that limits or bans expression, written or verbal, that is protected under the First Amendment.
Absolutely meaningless. That is the First Amendment in action. You are allowed, if you in a space that is the like a property of like that institution or whatever, they are allowed to curtail like the speech in that space because it's the private space of the institution, right? Like, just as I can't go into your home, if I go walk into your home, even if I went in your, and then I start like yelling and swearing at you, and then you're like, get out of here, get out of here, right? I can't say, oh, but the First Amendment, I'm allowed to say that. I mean, sure, yeah, you're allowed legally to say those things, but I, as the owner of this private space, I do not allow you to say that here, so get out. That's my right. That's the right of that university there. What a meaningless thing to say. Not to mention that this is true everywhere in the entire world, okay? You can't say certain things in certain contexts. Now, I mean, legally you might be protected, but culturally and socially, if I'm at work and I walk up to my boss and I say, screw you, I hate you, fuck you, man, well, my boss is going to fire me. And okay, that's fine. And you, PragerU, would defend that to the ends of the earth, of course. But why? So why is it a problem here? So, I mean, you can disagree with the policy, but framing it in that way is hysterical. Tons of things are defended under the First Amendment that we would never accept. I speak as if I'm American, but that most people would never accept in some context. But yeah.
Such codes are applied with glaring double standards against religious, conservative, or politically incorrect speech, or simply speech that a particular campus administration happens to dislike.
This font.
In other words, there are things you are completely free to say and write off campus that will get you in serious trouble if you say or write them on campus.
Yes, as has always been the case. Like what? Like, oh my god. Yeah, what you can say depends on the situation and the social context that you're in. Wow, how groundbreaking. Now you might disagree with the parameters that they're setting, but don't pretend that the classification and the treating of speech differently in different contexts is some tyrannical 1984 whoa thing.
These codes include policies that ban speech that administrators find insulting or offensive.
Okay.
One absurd code that appeared at multiple universities banned inappropriately directed laughter. And an Orwellian
That seems perfectly reasonable if you laugh at someone, like if someone's just talking in class and you like laugh at them. I mean, that seems kind of rude. I don't think you should be expelled or whatever, but the idea of being reprimanded for that, maybe, yeah, that doesn't seem completely unreasonable.
fashion, some schools
Orwellian fashion.
even limit free speech to tiny sections of campus called free speech zones.
Okay, how's that Orwellian? Would the Orwellian thing to do be that you have those and then they still get banned?
Recently, at the
It's not what Orwellian. Whatever.
University of Central Arkansas, you were subject to disciplinary action if you said or did
Yeah, man, they put you in whatever those are called. I forget. Yeah, sure.
something deemed annoying to another student.
Okay. Let's see. University of Central Arkansas. Annoying. University of Central Arkansas. Yeah. Speech code. God, I hate that the only thing you can find is from the goddamn this stupid website. I just want to see it like an external source. It's not as biased. But anyway, okay, they promise to eliminate speech code. Okay. Policy in question, you say most notably this among offenses, annoying another person. Okay. Did you what the Supreme Court says completely irrelevant. It's their space, but whatever. Harassing, annoying, or alarming another person. This includes, but is not limited to, racial and sexual harassment. Attempting to or threatening to strike, kick, or otherwise subject another person to physical contact, making an offensive, coarse utterance, gesture, or display, addressing abusive language to any person, following a person in or about a public place or places, making threatening, obscene, or disparaging remarks directed at another individual on Facebook, MySpace, or at our internet site, or engaging in a coercive conduct or repetitively committing acts that alarm or seriously annoy another person. Okay. This seems like if this were enforced improperly, then that could be bad. But this kind of just reads like you're just like mining one word out of the policy. It doesn't just say annoying another student. This lists out a number of very specific scenarios, well, not very, but fairly specific scenarios. It might still be a bad policy in it, but this hardly seems dystopian. Anyway.
In the most extensive study yet conducted of campus speech codes, the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education found that 62% of America's top colleges maintain serious restrictions on written and verbal expression that violate First Amendment protections.
But they don't violate it because it's their space.
What are the consequences of all this censorship by colleges and universities? I explain that in detail in my book, Unlearning Liberty, Campus Censorship and the End of American Debate. But for our purposes here, I will focus on just three. First, campus censorship teaches students that they have a right not to be offended. The moment society says that people have the right not to be offended, it has announced the end of the right to free speech. Second, campus censorship
but do they even say that? Okay,
teaches
it's a very vague thing to say. I'm not even going to bother.
Students poor intellectual habits. It teaches them not to think critically lest they arrive at a conclusion or express a thought that might offend someone. Further,
It really depends what you're talking about. Now, if it's the offending someone, it's just being like, it's just saying stuff that is erroneous or false, like, like just being racist or something. Wow, so terrible that they restrict that. Oh my god. Right? Like, what are you talking about?
students are taught to ignore the timeless principle that educated people should actively seek out intelligent people with whom they disagree for debate and discussion.
Does it? Where? Or is it just that, like, hey, if you randomly, if find someone in the hallway that you want to intellectually duel, that, like, maybe you shouldn't, like, harass them or whatever. Like, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know what you mean. Like,
And third, it teaches students that they have fewer rights than they actually have, that they must defer.
Yeah, well, that's good, actually, because you don't have very many rights, ultimately. I mean, your rights are kind of all curtailed within, like, what exists, like, what is allowed to exist societally. And even if you have rights in law, a lot of the times those don't exist in reality and whatever. I don't actually think is good or whatever, but you know what I mean. It's like they act as if this is so crazy, but, like, it's actually not, like, all throughout our lives, but whatever.
To arbitrary authority.
Yeah, man, I know, right? Isn't that so messed up? Yeah, bro, what the heck? PragerU comes out against police. Like, I just don't know what...
A generation of students who don't know their rights and believe they must get permission before speaking their minds is not thinking like a free people, and that is a threat to a free society. The rights embodied in the First Amendment shape American society. They foster America's religious and cultural pluralism, spur scientific and scholarly innovation, and thus secure our remarkable prosperity. But today's universities, with their censorship, speech codes, and political correctness, are putting the future of this unique experiment in freedom at risk. This is the very opposite of what American higher education was founded to do. I'm Greg Lukianoff, president of the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education for Prager University.
That video sucked. That kind of just sounded like much ado about nothing, to be honest. It's like sometimes universities will go too far on their, like, policies regarding stuff like this, but you didn't actually lay out a real argument against having, like, within universities policies on some speech. Like, I mean, it's just really odd, and, like, it's so vague too. It's like stuff. It's speech goes to violate the First Amendment. What is meant by that? What do you mean by that? Like, it's just like I don't know. Like it's just very strange. Like, that was a weird video, and just kind of meaningless. But whatever. 1984 wasn't supposed to be an instruction manual. Okay. If you want to find out who owns you, find out who you cannot criticize. Ah, yes, of course. Children with leukemia, those famous rulers of the world. I say one thing about them. I say one thing. I make fun of them once, and suddenly everyone shows you that they control the world. I hate when people say that, but whatever. Another reason I'm never going to college if I can help it. I get kicked out on the first day because I use logic, facts, and historical precedent to make my points. I'd love to see you make your points. I'd consider myself to be a moderate left-wing liberal, but holy shit, I didn't even realize how bad the campuses were in America. It just shows you that there's extremism and stupidity everywhere you go. It just shows you that you can throw 4 random examples of disconnected speech codes covering different things and use it to make a massive argument. Oh my god. All 400 dislikes, I would bet, didn't finish the video. Diversity is people who look different and think exactly the same. Oh my god. There's a whole lot of truth to this video, even from the perspective of one attending a Canadian university. All the professors I've met are liberals, most of whom think conservatism is a weird position to maintain, and some of whom think libertarianism is madness. Great. That's free speech, buddy. Cope. What are you going to mandate the university have conservatives and libertarians and whatever? Like, what? It is free speech. Screw you. Sorry it makes you uncomfortable or whatever. If they're so wrong, debate them. Win the argument. Any wild guesses what political position I came to this university with? Luckily, my views haven't changed. That bit in the video about finding intelligent people who disagree with you is very right. My professors are all very intelligent individuals, even if they haven't convinced me of anything. I can say honestly that I at least understand their reasoning now. This is a good thing because it means I can actively engage with their ideas. So I'll freely admit that the situation is that isn't at all as bad where I go compared to what it's like in the States according to this video. Or maybe it's just kind of a meme. Although there is an element of truth there where it can be a little less bad in Canada because, or at least you won't see some of. I mean, you see some of the stuff about these stories of political correctness gone crazy. Where in the U.S., like someone will get their college admission pulled because they said like the N word 5 years ago or something like that. And I hate stories like that, to be honest. And that is purely enabled because of the extent to which you're well, A, I mean, American has like a kind of more Puritan culture just generally, but which PragerU defends, at least in some aspects. And then B, the extent to which America, doesn't have their college admissions done, doesn't have the government as involved in their college admissions. If the government was more involved in college admissions and they were more guaranteed as a kind of mandated thing, then stuff like that wouldn't be possible, right? Because it would be more because they wouldn't be going through stuff like that. So yeah, it's just it's dumb. I hate this. I'm surprised at the number of people opposed to this video. Oh God. That sounds exactly like something the Chinese Communist Party would come up with. What?
At the University of Delaware,
Okay, anyway. I hate this world. The more I learn, the more I yearn for a simpler time. There is so much good in the world, still yet there is a plague of the mind. These children are our future, but they live in a brainwashed culture, as opposed to when? In the 60s, when there was, like, segregation still? Like, what a joke. Whatever. Okay. Well, that was fun going over that. This one ran long. I had a lot to say, and I also wanted to go for each of the claims. But that was interesting. So if you enjoyed that video, like and subscribe, and yeah, have a good one. Bye-bye, guys.